Do you remember the Cobra Kai motto?
Strike hard, strike fast, no mercies.
Oh, yeah, baby. It sounds a lot like that new Viper that 908 just dropped.
Right. Instead of roundhound kick to the face, it kills it with FTIR and ramen, which is cool.
Plus, with the smart spectral processing, it sweeps the leg and reads the compound.
Right. It doesn't even beat up kids.
Oh, well, now you just lost me.
Damn it.
But it is still kind of badass. It's like having Mr. Miyagi right there in your corner.
Right. So check out the new champ at 908devices.com. Take no mercy on your mystery chemicals. And in 2024, there was 138 hazmat responders in the U.S. that were injured. That's 138 too much. Your team's mission is clear. Do your job, do it well, get everybody home safe.
But in order to do that, you need a training partner and training program that's going to work in the real world, not just some theory.
Right. So you should work with us, the Hazmat Guys, a top-rated hazmat trainer by J.M. Powers 23, 24, and 25. We're bringing thousands of field hours, cutting-edge equipment, and fully customized programs built around your team and your location.
It's easy. 3-step path towards zero injury hazmat operations. Schedule a call, and then we tailor your training program, just like we just did a few minutes before this program started. And then you execute the best in-class drills on your turf.
Yep. Get in there. Slots are limited and rates have increased, so get in there soon. Secure your team spot today. Yes.
Hey, everybody.
Yep. Our very own Jake is back in the saddle. Love it. Hazard class. Get in there. Subscribe. Industrial Strength. Subscribe. And the newsletter. Subscribe.
And good then stuff. Jump in. For the fourth Thursday of the month, not always the last Thursday of the month, we got the happy hour. 1 hour, we sit and we kind of chat with like-minded individuals. It's not recorded. It's totally private. We talk about hazmat. Sometimes we talk about other stuff. Sometimes we talk about training. Sometimes we talk about topical events. One great reason to be there is when you show up, you enter yourself to receive a scholarship to the Southernmost Hazmat Conference, which is happening February 3rd to the 5th in 2026 in the incredible island of Key West.
Yeah. And the summer sale, only a few weeks left. Get your books, nerd, compliant, building a hazmat team, all types of stuff. Get in there. And also you can email us at info@thehazmatguys.com to get a little bit more information about your grant possibilities. We just heard, what was it, $1 billion just dropped?
$1 billion. Here's guys, for
to
the
us.
grant.
Just to us.
To us. And we don't have to do anything with it. In fact, this is our last episode.
Yeah.
No, the federal government is basically restructuring, for lack of better words. And if your department, even if you guys have your own grant writers, we have a captain that's been doing it for like 5 years. He's really good. He's gotten us a few dollars. Listen, we have an insane heavy hitter grant guys in basically in-house. They understand the workings of the federal government. They will be able to understand how that grant path is now going to change once the restructuring is done. So the grant that was originally given by this guy is now being given by this guy. Who do we know? I'm telling you, don't navigate this world on your own. We can help you out. info@thehazmatguys.com.
So we just finished a riveting double episode on gases, flammable gases, or inflammable or non-flammable gases.
Really, any gases.
All gases. All
gases, because DOT2 covers all the gases. So now we're going to move on to DOT3. We're going to be talking about flammable liquids. Unlike gases, right, that covers all the gases, flammable 3 or class 3 is going to focus only on those that are able to ignite, those that are flammable. So this isn't an entire liquids thing. This is very specific. The harm is the flazzards. Oh my God. The harm is the flammable hazards. And yes, this happens all the time in class as well. These substances pose significant health hazards due to the ease of ignition and the potential for the explosions within the incidences.
Right. Now, class threes are liquids and mixtures, which is important because gasoline, everybody thinks it's a mixture of different chemicals for gasoline. But the key to it is that the flash point does not exceed 60 C or 140 degrees Fahrenheit, as well as certain substances in the liquid phase at elevated temperatures, even if their flash points are higher. If that doesn't make sense to you, don't worry, we'll get there.
Yeah, it will. We'll break it down, right? Some examples of this are going to be diesel, gasoline, acetone, ethanol, aviation fluid. How do we end up turning around and recognizing it? Well, we use our placards and labels. DOT3 placards are going to be red and white with a flame symbol and the number 3 squared down there at the bottom. Do you always see a placard? No, you definitely don't always see a placard. All right, they're there sometimes. They're there, in other times. So when we're going to see them, any amount of class 3 liquid in bulk packaging. Okay, Mike. Well, what the heck is a bulk packaging? We're looking anything greater than 119 gallons in a single container, a tote, a tank, a cargo truck, anything along those lines. Or if you want to go by mass and weight, it's 101 pounds or more of non-bulk class 3. 1,001. What did I say? 101?
I just noticed this. I cannot believe I've been doing this for a long time. I always said, 119 gallons. Where the hell did they come up with 100? Well, because 450 liters. That makes sense. Okay, fine. But it's 1,001 pounds or 454 kilograms. It's like, if you're going to stick with metric, then go with metric. Don't flip and don't go back and forth.
It doesn't get more American than let's pick and choose which system we're going to use. Go to the store, right? You get a gallon of milk. Walk across to the soda aisle, you get a 2-liter soda bottle. Go to the liquor store, you get yourself a liter or half a liter of vodka. No, we pick and choose what we want to play with, and we make it the most complex shit possible.
Oh my God. All right. So when is a placard not required? Well, then if you're shipping less than that 1,001 pounds of non-bulk class 3 liquids and they are not otherwise requiring placards, then placarding is not required. Now,
yeah. Okay.
No.
I was going to say, you might find them, even if they're placarded or not placarded, they could have some UN signs, UN numbers, letters. Yeah. Jesus, I can't think today. You're looking at about 1203. It is 1203 is the UN number for gasoline. Ethanol is 1170. Acetone 1090. And we've had runs in which we actually had one run that it was placarded and it was a box truck. And we're like, wow, that's really interesting. Like, it's placarded for alcohol. It's a box truck. It was perfume. And there was so much alcohol in the box truck of perfume that it met the criteria for needing to be placarded as a flammable liquid. It was kind of pretty crazy. Some things that kind of go along with this, and the chemical physical properties support this. Strong odors. Well, why does it have strong odors? Well, because the vapor pressure is high. The vapor pressure is high, which allows it to be flammable. All these ideas and concepts are all connected. Oddly enough, it actually gives off so much vapors that if you're looking at the spill or an open container, you almost kind of see this heat shimmer come off of it. And that is the vapors themselves evaporating into the air. And you're seeing that heavy concentration of vapors changes the density of the air. Light changes as density changes. So that's how come we end up seeing this heat shimmer.
Yeah, and you can have, obviously you can have a spill or a leak next to the container, but one of the cool little tricks that we've been, it's not a trick. It's simple science, but I really like the way HazCat did it, is they had the flammability test, which is just like a cupped piece of glass, right? It's a watch glass, they call it. And you put a little bit of flammable liquid in there and you put a little piece of paper, it comes out. So it's like a wick and it pulls, it capillary pulls that liquid up. And what you do is when you come in with the match from the side, not above, just on the side, and you start bringing in, if the flame jumps to the match. I'm sorry, match jump to the flame. It's extremely flammable. Why? Because there's a lot of vapor pressure and stuff like that, right? If I go over and I touch it, it goes on fire, but I remove my wick, it's combustible, right? It's like a tiki torch. So it could be ripping flames out of that tit. I take the wick out of the liquid. Liquid's not on fire because it's all in there.
Now, we're not necessarily using that test to determine whether or not somebody legally is placarded correctly, but for our purposes of, hey, is this going to ignite easily while I'm in it, or is this combustible where it takes a little bit of time? That is a great test and kind of fun to watch. It's fun to watch. That fire.
But it's also another confirmation of like, I think it's this dog. And it's, I expect that dog to be flammable. I expect it to have high vape pressure. I expect it to jump to the match, and it doesn't do it. That's not the dog I'm looking for. So it's great on the diagnostic level. So
some other ways that we're going to discover whether or not this is flammable are documentation, our shipping papers, our SDSs. They're going to identify both the substance and the hazard that's associated with that. And then we can go to our ERGs. Our ERGs are going to give us guides and references. We can match containers with the containers in the ERG, and they can raise up some red flags and go, hey, you're probably dealing with like a class 3. We talk about the containers in the ERG. We talk about matching specific containers. So what are some of those containers going to be? For bulk transportation vessels, one of the most common that we see on the highway all the time is going to be our MC 306, DOT 406, whichever one you want to kind of call it, as well as our 307, 407 for chemicals that would be considered kind of flammable. These are going to be elliptical or circular cross-section. They got the bottom valves. They've got ladders. The emergency shutoffs are going to be in the front, could possibly have an emergency shutoff in the back, but they're really designed for mild pressure on the inside. The gases generally, not the gases, the liquids tend to be a little bit lighter in density, so you have this kind of big, fat, elliptical butt hanging over the wheels. It's a good vehicle. Hey, Mike, take a look around and tell me how many lithium-ion batteries you have around you right now. 6.
I bet it is, because they're everywhere, and every department in the nation is starting to deal with these batteries on a regular basis.
Yeah, well, that's why we are excited to tell you about a brand new product that's been proven to limit and control the battery fire propagation. It comes from a brand called the Geo, and they are chock full of hazmat experts who know and believe that there's a better way for first responders to handle, ship, store all of these at-risk lithium-ion batteries.
Yep, we're confident that this will solve your lithium-ion battery problems because it's lightweight. It works across all battery types, and we can say it lives up to its hype because we've tested it firsthand.
It's called ObexionFR, and it's part of a 2-part system with a scientifically designed granular paired with a UN-certified paler drum. More importantly, ObexionFR is proven to reduce the toxic IDLH gases emitted when these batteries kick off. So if you're in the vicinity when this happens, it's going to help keep you and your team safe.
So to learn more, go to thehazmatguys.dgeo.com. That's thehazmatguys.dgeo.com and check it out.
And we're talking about batteries. We would be remiss to not talk about a solution to the battery fire. Solution, see what I did there. That many companies have put products in front of us, and we've tested them. We've been like, no, this didn't work. But there was one noteworthy exception because it actually extinguished the lithium-ion battery fires that we tested. Now, it's not a one-trick pony. It works on multiple classes of fire. It's going to help prevent the fire from spreading. And cool enough, the lithium-ion batteries, it prevents it from reigniting.
Now, before that guy with the keyboard starts caps locking, asking for proof, the links are in the show notes for UL Class A and B, as well as the BSI for 10 categories, including the lithium-ion batteries.
Now, we've put this through a barrage of field tests from 1 or 2 cells all the way up to car batteries, and we loved it. We suggest that you do your own myth busting. Luckily enough, it's available in a variety of options to integrate with your current process. You can access all of this information by checking out Fire Suppression Solutions or click on the show notes. And then we have our rail cars, right? These are going to be used for large volume switches. Like we're talking really large. really large quantities here. Often carry crude oil, ethanol, solvents. They can really carry any kind of these liquids. They're considered non-pressurized. They're going to be our DOT 101, our CPC 1230. And if we kind of go one step over where we got the pressurized, we got the DOT 112. Newer tanks are going to have a whole different variation in the thermal protection, as well as their outer shell is going to be a lot thicker. Placarded, just like on our DOTs, are going to be as much as possible on all four sides. Our head shields at the top or the front of the cars, and then our fittings are going to be really well protected.
And just to clarify, that is a DOT 111 and a CPC 1232. You said 101, then you said 1230. Just
God,
different numbers.
I can't read. Anybody who's taught a class with me knows I'm severely dyslexic. Bob corrects me all the time.
we have non-bulk, right? When we say bulk, we're talking about shitloads, like metric ass loads. I don't even know if that's a real number. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So non-bulk, we're talking about like drums and barrels, right? Things that you can probably transport relatively easy. So like a 55-gallon or a 208-liter steel or plastic drum, that's frequently used for solvents and fuels or waste oil or whatever you got. But the lids are sealed with rings, bungs, or pumps for filling and discharging. And again, not to go into a drum class, but you can have drums that have removable lids. You can have drums that have fixed lids. You can have drums with bungs. You can pick 2.5-inch ones. You can pick a 2-inch and a quarter. He who pays says. You can get anything you want. So don't think it's one size fits all.
And then we got our intermediate bulk, which there's a common hazard between the barrels and the drums that I'll chat about. But our totes, our intermediate, generally are between 275 to 330 gallons, kind of that rigid case. We often see them, they almost look like a giant, basically a giant jug in a cage. It really, for lack of better words. Industrial chemicals, fuels. Now, what these two have in common is they quite often have to be pumped out. And we see quite a few accidents with highly flammable materials when pumping these out because people don't ground and bond properly and people use the wrong type of pump and it ends up igniting inside the pump or there's some kind of a contamination compatibility issue. So when you're dealing with drums and barrels and intermediate containers, be very careful with the offload.
Right. Then you can get down to like just small things like cans and bottles and safety cans and stuff like that. These are just your portable steel or plastic can between 1 and 5 gallon jerry. What do they call it? Jerry cans? Jerry cans.
Yeah.
Today with the spring-loaded lids on them for vapor control, which is pretty good because if you have a really good sealed up one and you leave it out in the yard in the summer, you see that thing bulge up. Well, the spring-loaded ones, they actually let it burp, which is a good thing to do. But they're used for like small-scale fuel transport and fueling machinery, your lawnmower, your chainsaw, and that kind of like stuff. And
then what are some of the relief devices that can be found in intermediate bulk? Basically the same thing, only a larger in scale. Your pressure relief devices are often going to be spring-loaded or gravity style. There's going to be possibly combination pressure and vacuum vents. So, we're not so worried about the pressure in a small container, but when you start to get to a large container, that vacuum pressure can absolutely collapse larger containers. And that has to do with surface area and pressure and things along those lines. Many of these vents are going to be combination. They allow the gases to come out. They allow fresh air to come in to be able to, offset those differences in pressures. Important to remember though, that not all bulk containers require a PRD. Some of them just rely on the strength of the actual material that the container is made of. Why is that important to you? Because if you turn around and think, oh, this thing's big, it's going to auto pressurize, right? If it's too high a pressure, it's going to vent. It's too low a pressure, it's going to break a vacuum. And you go ahead and you open that and there is pressure behind it, it very easily could take your face off.
Now you can get up to the ones that are on the road, like the cargo tank trucks, specifically talking about the DOT 406 4 Class 3s, which when you look at the oval ass of that truck, it's like it's a petrochemical hauler. It's 99% of I don't want to say 99% because it might not be. It is the vast majority of what that thing moves is some type of fuel, right? Gasoline, diesel, solvents, that kind of stuff. So it does require a PRD, right? And that PRD is both a blessing and a curse, because when the thing turns over, right, and it has an accident, it flips over, the weight of the liquid is more than the PRD, so it almost naturally leaks out of the manway and the manholes on top. It's set for like 3 to 5 psi or something like that. So
One of the first things that we do is what?
You put on dome clamps to kind of hold it back, and it's a very easy evolution to do. But you want those set low enough where it naturally burps, because the temperature of the thing goes up, the vapors are produced in a faster fashion, builds pressure, burp it out. That's cool. I like that. But there's also emergency venting. It's got to allow vapor to escape if the pressure spikes, such as during a fire, or it's a hot day, or it's parked in a hot spot. Additionally, it has fire protection, and specifically, we're talking about fusible elements. Okay, so the fusible element is a metal alloy that is formulated to melt at a specific temperature. And you can buy them at different temperatures, like 110, 240. They're kind of like sprinkler bulb things, the glass little ampule things.
Right.
Just like that. And
They
so
don't
you screw
reset
the puppy in.
once they go off open to the pipe.
They're open. You unscrew it, you replace it with a fresh one. That's how it goes, right? And the ones that are on these rigs go off at 250 degrees Fahrenheit. That opens the valve. And that protects the BLEVE, the boiling liquid expanding vapor explosion, from happening. So these types of things have to be adequate for that type of tank. It has to prevent the tank rupture during a full surface fire. It's got to be able to prevent that. So it's specced out in the build, I guess.
And the rail tanks are going to mimic very much our highway tanks, only they're just going to be bigger. They're going to be designed to let out larger quantities, higher rates of cubic feet per minute, because we've got so much more product hanging in there. So same thing, we're going to have spring-loaded pressure relief valves, fusible plugs, and we're going to have a combination of the two to basically prevent a BLEVE in case of an accident.
Now, a lot of these rigs, or the rail cars, which are just over-the-road trucks with steel wheels, and much bigger, right?
Much bigger.
Right? Much bigger, right? But they can have dikes and catch basins, or even double tank walls that will limit the release in the case of a vessel failure.
Now, a lot of times when we start to get to these larger vessels, it's not just the liquid release that we get concerned about, but we also can have a release of flammable vapors. Spills and leaks, especially the flammable vapors, can quickly form explosive environments, and there are ignition sources everywhere. Fuel vapors, much heavier than air, so they come out of a pressure relief device, they come down. Not that big of a deal if you're dealing with a small container, but when you start to think of the quantity of gas or vapors that would come off of, say, a rail car, anything within that vicinity, hot brakes, sparks, your walkie-talkie, you walking around the area, has the potential to be an explosive hazard. And
they're all painted black under the baking sun. It's such a whatever. Somebody on the inside must have been like, I got a cousin that has a black paint store. Let me legislate this so everything has to be black, and
yeah,
that's how it goes. Anyway, fire and explosion potentials. We have BLEVEs and the possibility for rapid flame spread. Okay, it's different in these, like, compared to like transport fires, right? Because you got static electricity, you got mechanical impacts. It doesn't happen typically, but they do. They come off the rails. They have rail rub, electrical faults. That can all different types of things provide ignition.
Well, you can see it as well in the train or even a over the highway accident, right? You're like, oh, where's the source of ignition? Well, it's another train car or a vehicle, something else on the highway. The internet is filled with videos of these types of accidents that just somewhere there's a source of ignition. The idiot in the little, I don't know, Geo Metro that drives through the cloud gas and then the whole thing ignites. You'd be amazed at what ends up igniting vapors.